again, fight fans, welcome to mindforcombat. If you're new to this channel, my name is Rohan. It's my platform where I do MMA and boxing related content. If you're new here, why don't you help me grow my channel? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, like the video, dislike the video if you don't like it, and maybe get involved in the conversation in the comment section below. With that said, for this video I'm going to be breaking down the upcoming UFC main event heavyweight fight between Alistair Overeem and the fast rising prospect, which is Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Now I'm sure I destroyed his name, but we'll just call him Jairzinho for this video, just so I don't keep making a fool of myself. This is an interesting fight coming into this. Firstly, you've got Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem, who's a staple of the heavyweight division over the last 10-15 years. He always finds himself at the wrong end of brutal knockouts, but then he always finds himself rebuilding. He's actually one of the most resilient characters I've ever seen in combat sports, boxing or MMA. And it's one of those guys that you'll just think he's completely shot, and the next thing you know, he's a heavyweight contender again. And that happened after his win over Brock Lesnar. He went 1-3, got knocked out 3 times, then won 4 in a row and got a title shot. Then after that, he lost the title shot, 1-2, then he lost 2 in a row, 2 brutal knockouts, including the one that went viral against Ngannou. And then here we are. He's on back-to-back wins, back-to-back knockout wins again, and he's right back there in the mix again. And a win here over a highly vaunted prospect puts him right here. And now for Jairzinho, who steps in as a late replacement for Walt Harris, firstly RIP Anaya Blanchard, thoughts and prayers with you and your family, and that's a horrible thing. That's Walt's going through, but for Jairzinho to step in, he really gets a huge opportunity here. He's only had 9 professional fights, but he's got a lot of hype coming behind him, especially off that win over Andre Arlovski. There's a lot of attention on him right now, so I think this is a very key and important night for both of these guys, and they're meeting a crossroad in their career, and it's really interesting. So let's break this fight down by looking at the stats. The first thing that jumps out to me is that Alistair Overeem is 39 years old. Now, heavyweights tend to have a bit long for shelf life, but Alistair Overeem has had, nearly over 60 professional fights as a mixed martial artist. Then you count his fights that he's had as a kickboxer, the amount of knockouts he's suffered, brutal knockouts, the amount of times he's been separated from his consciousness. It's actually crazy that he's still around, still performing at 39 years old. You've got to wonder what he's got left in the gas tank. And he fights Jairzinho, who's only 31 years old. Now, while 31 ain't that young, you got to think about it in relative terms. Still had 9 professional MMA fights, and he had a long, lengthy kickboxing career, but in MMA he's only 9-0. And at heavyweight, who tend to have a longer shelf life, 31's fairly young, so he's a very, very young heavyweight. Alistair Overeem, as I mentioned, has a very experienced record. He's got a mixed martial arts record of 45 wins, 17 losses and 1 no contest. That's a lot of fights against high-level opposition for a long period of time. Some of the greatest to ever do it, including Shogun, Chuck Liddell, up at heavyweight. He's beaten the likes of Brock Lesnar, he's beaten the likes of Frank Mir, Andre Arlovski himself. He's been around for a long time, and we'll go through some of his key wins. And he fights, the young up-and-coming Jairzinho, who's only 9-0 in his career right now, and he's still got a long ways to go. So this is a very, very interesting fight. They meet each other at a true crossroad in their careers. Alistair Overeem is the bigger man, stands at 6'5", as opposed to Jairzinho, who stands at 6'2". He's going to have 3 inches in height there. And Alistair Overeem also has an 80-inch reach, which gives him a 2-inch reach advantage over Jairzinho, who has a 78-inch reach. Now, what's interesting is, although Alistair Overeem is the bigger man, and historically he's always been the better striker against everyone he faces, that's not necessarily going to be the case with Jairzinho, who had about 70 professional fights as a kickboxer and then won like 63 of them. He had a really vaunted mixed kickboxing record, so that's something to remember coming into this fight. It's something really key. When we're talking about their styles with Alistair Overeem, yes, he's a stand-up fighter, he likes to strike, but you've seen him employ ground game, you've seen him get takedowns against Stefan Struve, Sergey Pavlovich. He's beaten tons of guys on the ground as well. And for Jairzinho, well, we've only seen him standing with his decorated kickboxing resume. He's a kickboxer, that's what he's going to want to do in this fight. Alright, he's going to want to kickbox with Alistair Overeem. Let's look at some of the key wins. Now for Jairzinho, let's get that out of the way. He's only got 1 key win that jumps out to me on his ledger, which is Andre Arlovski, who has 19 losses at this point, gets knocked out every time there's a hot flash in the weather. So Arlovski, whilst I respect the win over Arlovski, I don't sell someone that's being a contender because they've stopped Arlovski. Now when we're looking at Alistair Overeem, he's also got a win over Andre Arlovski, but along to go with that, he's beaten the likes of Junior Dos Santos. As I mentioned more recently, he's beaten the young upcoming Sergey Pavlovich, who's won 2 fights in a row since then. He's beaten Alexei Oleinik, the boa constrictor himself, who's a really good fighter. He's beaten Brock Lesnar, as I mentioned. He's beaten Frank Mir, as I had mentioned, Mark Hunt, Fabricio Werdum, not once but twice. He's beaten a lot of great fighters, and over the course of his career he's shared the ring with some of the best of all time. So even if he hasn't gotten the wins all the time, he's always done well. The issues coming into this fight for Alistair Overeem is going to be his chin. When he gets cracked, he is in trouble, and Jairzinho has shown us one thing, is that he can crack. Okay, the issues for Jairzinho is going to be definitely his experience, his inexperience at the top echelon of the heavyweight division. Alistair Overeem most definitely represents that, and against Alistair Overeem in a 5-round fight, who has been in many 5-round fights, who's got tons of experience, that's a bad place to beat. The X factor for Alistair Overeem is going to be his experience. He's going to, if he can utilize that, that will be his X factor, and the X factor for Jairzinho is going to be his power. Let's get into the prediction. Right, so this is an interesting one when we're thinking about it, because on the feet you think to yourself, the younger, fresher guy who hits really hard should be able to stop the near 40-year-old veteran who's got a short chin and gets knocked out all the time. Yes, in theory, yes, but I tell you what, there's a couple of things to consider. Firstly, Jairzinho is not necessarily Francis Ngannou. He won't do that just because Ngannou did it. Now he may prove me wrong and come in there and do that in the first round, but that doesn't mean that he is a foregone conclusion. What we know for a fact coming into this fight is that Alistair Overeem is proven that what we know for a fact is that Alistair Overeem has a diverse, well-rounded skill set when it comes to mixed martial arts. We don't know that for a fact when it comes to Jairzinho. All we know for a fact is that he can crack on the feet. Alistair Overeem has dealt with strikers his whole career, and actually, although his chin is questionable, more than questionable, his chin is in a lot of ways shot, he has shown us that he can deal with the heavy-handed strikers and still come out and pull off the victory, which he has done multiple times in his career, and that's not to be forgotten. In my opinion, this fight is going to start off like this. We're going to see a tentative Alistair Overeem weather an early storm of Jairzinho, who's going to be young, hyped up, aggressive. He's going to have this main event experience spot against the highly decorated Alistair Overeem. He knows a win here skyrockets his career, but Alistair Overeem will recognize that, and I believe Alistair Overeem will engage in a grappling heavy fight, particularly to shake off Jairzinho's attacks. I believe that Alistair Overeem will be able to utilize his experience to understand the situation and escape the early barrage that will come with Jairzinho and not get knocked out in the first round. And after the first round, things get interesting, right? Alistair Overeem is the more diverse fighter. He can hang on the feet. Can Jairzinho hang on the ground? We don't know. I have to assume he can't, because Alistair Overeem has been around for so long. He's controlled some really decorated, good grapplers on the ground. Even guys like Stefan Struve, who, whilst he ain't the best grappler in the world, is really good off his back. He was able to hold him in his guard and get the finish from there. So why can he not do that to Jairzinho? So in my opinion, we're going to see Alistair Overeem not be a striker in this fight. We're going to see him being a well-rounded mixed martial artist, and I believe he's going to eventually get this fight down to the ground, and he'll either win by submission or TKO ground and pound. At 9-0, having only a key win over Andrei Arlovski, there is still far too many questions in my mind as it comes to Jairzinho to be picking him over a proven commodity like Alistair Overeem at this stage of the career. So Fight Fans, for my actual prediction, I'm picking Alistair Overeem to be able to get the win by utilizing his ground game, so either a round 2 or 3 submission or ground and pound finish for Alistair Overeem, and that's how I see the fight going. So Fight Fans, why don't you guys comment below? Let me know what your predictions are for this fight, and let me know how what you thought about my breakdown of the fight and where you think I may be wrong. Remember, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video, all that jazz. Thank you for watching. I'm Rohan, and this is Mindful Combat.